Hey Facebook followers, I wanted to come on today and show you a recipe that is super delicious and super easy to make in the Instant Pot. It's ribs along with some Whole30 approved barbecue sauce for today. So ribs in the Instant Pot, you wouldn't have guessed it, but you can actually make it in about 35 minutes in the Instant Pot, and literally the meat on the ribs will fall off the bone when you're ready to eat them. So it's really, really quite awesome to be able to have an alternative to having to roast or smoke the ribs all day long, or even bake them all day long to get that tender fall off the bone rib. So anyway, and then if you're following the Whole30, you might have been a little nervous about some of your condiments, because a lot of them do have the extra added sugar in them that is just something you're giving up for 30 days to see if it makes a difference. For a lot of us, sugar has a lot to do with feeding the bad gut bacteria. So when you get an imbalance of gut bacteria in your intestinal lining, what that means is it changes the mitochondria of your gut lining, and it can wreak havoc on not only cognitive issues, but also digestive issues. It can also wreak havoc on your skin. It's amazing what our good gut bacteria really does for our body. So that's one of the reasons why we're giving up the sugar for the 30 days. And then of course the obvious of, excess sugar causes excess fat storage. Trying to get rid of that too. So anyway, I wanted to show you the recipe. So come on down here with me, and then I have my daughter behind me, and she's gonna help me make the barbecue sauce today. She's over manning the Vitamix. So first we're gonna do the rub for the ribs, and I'll show you how that's all put together. And then I'll change the station around a little bit since my kitchen is on the smaller side, but that's okay. It doesn't mean you can't make delicious food in a small kitchen. And then we'll go over to where my daughter is and we'll watch her make the barbecue sauce. And then we'll come back to my station and I'll show you how to finish the process of cooking the ribs in the Instant Pot. So I'm gonna lower you down here so you can see my bowl. I'm gonna do this very carefully. All right, so hopefully you are able to see the ribs. I did cut them 2 ribs wide, so they're already cut for me. And that's something you'll probably want to do because that'll make it really easy for stacking in the Instant Pot. And then I have my bowl here, and my bowl is going to make my seasoning. And I already have everything measured out. So, and you'll have the recipe in the comments as well, so I will make sure I post that for you. So in my bowl, to start the seasoning or the rub, I'm gonna start with some oregano, and that's probably the most quantity of the spice is the oregano. There's 2 tablespoons there. Then I'm gonna do some onion powder right inside there, garlic powder, cumin, some dry mustard seed, some sea salt. Himalayan sea salt is one of my favorites. The reason for it is it's mined from the earth rather than cooked down like sea salt is. When it's mined from the earth, all of the 7 minerals are still intact. So that's kind of cool. Your magnesium, your phosphorus, all the electrolytes that you need in your day. Some ground pepper. And the last ingredient is some paprika here. So I am just gonna stir that up here. And just mix all of those seasonings. And the recipe will include all of those for you. So there is my dry rub. And I'm gonna go ahead and put that on the ribs now. So I just start. Don't be afraid. If you're nervous about raw meat, go ahead and put gloves on. It's no big deal. But if you're confident in the meat that you have in the sourcing, it should be okay. But it is totally your preference. And I'm being pretty generous with my dry rub here, making sure that I coat both sides, inside and on the top side, focusing more of your attention probably on the meatier side. So the top side of the meat is where you'll want to have most of the rub on. And if you have some rub left over, what I would suggest that you do with it is just sprinkle it on top just before you seal up the Instant Pot. So that took most of it. Make sure I got both sides here. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna let that sit for just a minute, and now we're gonna go over to Bella. Let me wash my hands, and then I'll be able to pick the phone up and take you with me. Okay, so come on over here. We're gonna come over to where Bella is, and she is over by the Vitamix here. She has a couple of ingredients here, but there is a little bit of prep work to do for the barbecue sauce. Can I have you hold that for me for just a second? Okay, follow me. So first what I had to do is caramelize some onions with the garlic. So I went ahead and did that in advance. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that into the Vitamix. So these are nice and tender. And what I caramelized them with, the oil that I used was ghee. You could also use avocado oil with that as well. That is no problem. All right, make sure we get all that. The other thing that I did in advance is I made my sweet potatoes. I don't know if they can see that or not. My sweet potatoes, I used some apple juice. Make sure that when you purchase your apple juice that it is doesn't have any added sugar to it. It's just the sugar from the apples. And then I added some water to that just to cover the sweet potatoes. And they're just to fork tender. So as soon as you can pierce it with your fork, you know that they're done. I don't know that they can see that, honey. Okay, I'm gonna add that to the Vitamix as well. All of the contents. All right, then I am gonna turn the camera over to Bella, and she's gonna add the rest of the ingredients to this. So why don't you start with this? Show the camera what you got. So that is a tomato paste, and that's 3 ounces. You can use that spatula. And she's gonna add it right to the Vitamix. Nice job, kiddo. Yep. That looks great, sweetie. Okay, and the rest of what she has, I'm gonna start with this. We have some apple cider vinegar. Perfect. Some paprika. Nice. Some Himalayan sea salt. And then we have some red pepper flakes. So you might see on the recipe that the recipe actually called for chipotle seasoning. I didn't have any, so I'm substituting with red pepper flakes. Perfect. We're just gonna put that last little bit in there. All right, so she's gonna seal this up for me. If you have a Vitamix, you'll want to use the puree function. So right on the front is the puree function, and she's gonna press start. And it's gonna blend everything nice together. And that is it. So literally just a few little ingredients. There is a little bit of prep work with the sauce, cooking the sweet potatoes to tender, and then also caramelizing the onions and the garlic. You'll see on the recipe as well that the recipe actually calls for roasted garlic. Again, I didn't have any and I didn't have the time to roast it, so I just sauteed it with the onions and made it tender that way. So let's try this. Let me get a spoon here. So I have my food critic with me, so we'll see how this tastes. Okay, so tell me if it tastes like barbecue sauce. Okay. That is good. What do you think? Pretty good? Awesome. All right, so back over to my station. So my critic said it was good. How about that? Wow, kid approved, huh? Okay, so I'm gonna go get my Instant Pot. Now I'm gonna show you how to finish the process with those ribs and get you all set up for that. Again, it only takes 35 minutes. I keep missing the camera. Again, it only takes about 35 minutes. So that's kind of cool to know that you can make ribs on a weeknight. And impress your family when you're in a rush, which is kind of cool. The Instant Pot is definitely one of those game changer appliances that I appreciate very much. All right. I'm gonna close that door behind me, honey. Okay, so I have my Instant Pot here. I'm gonna go ahead and take my lid off. Maybe, there we go. Okay, so you'll definitely want to use the insert in this because you're going to want to add a little bit of water to this. You're going to want to add about a cup of water. In the bottom of your Instant Pot. All right. I'm going to see if I can lower this down so you guys can see what I'm up to. So my Instant Pot just has water in it, and that's all it has in there. If yours has the little tray that has the handles on it, you can go ahead and leave the handles up. That way they're really easy to pull out when they're ready. And then all you do is just take those ribs that you seasoned already with the dry rub and just stack them in. It really doesn't matter how you do it. It's going to place the entire contents under pressure. So that's kind of cool. Stack them in there. I've been able in my Instant Pot to get about a rack and a half in my 6-quart Instant Pot. So that's kind of cool. That feeds a lot of people. Okay, and then I have a little bit of seasoning on my cutting board. So I am just gonna push that all in right on top of those ribs. You worked very hard on making that seasoning. So let's use it all. And there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and seal this up. Let's put the lid on. Oh, I did have a little extra, didn't I? All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. Whoop. Oh, my phone. I got a new phone, so I'm pushing all these buttons that I don't know. So I'm gonna seal this. For me, on my Instant Pot, this is venting and this is sealed. So I'm gonna make sure that's in the sealed position. And then I'm gonna come on the front here and I'm going to go ahead and push manual. Right now it's set for 15 minutes, so I wanna increase that to 35 minutes. And that's it. It will build up pressure on the inside of the Instant Pot. And then once it's up to pressure, that's when the 35-minute countdown will start. And then as soon as you have your Instant Pot go off, it'll say L and then the time. So like L001, that just means it's on low pressure or starting to depressurize. And then once you're ready to eat, you can unseal it just by turning that little knob that we turned to seal. You'll turn it to venting. Make sure that if it's right after it's done cooking, it still has that pressure inside. So make sure that you use some sort of utensil to turn that knob. I use like a butter knife or a spatula or something. You don't want your hand too close to that because that steam is going to be pretty powerful and instant. So steam burns are no fun at all. And then once they're depressurized, you just open up the lid on your Instant Pot, put them on a serving platter along with your barbecue sauce. You got a nice dinner. With this, you could serve this with a couple ideas for you. You could serve this with like a green salad with your own dressing if you're doing the Whole30. You could also serve this with making your own sweet potato salad. So just like regular potato salad, sweet potato salad. Interesting thing between white potatoes and sweet potatoes tend to have a little more fiber. They also have a little more of a mineral and vitamin profile. So they're a little more beneficial for the body than a white potato. White potatoes are just fine though. Any vegetables, we encourage you to eat as many vegetables as you can. So anyway, I hope that recipe helps you and hopefully you'll try it and let me know what you think about it in the comments. I'll post the recipes for you. Have fun doing it. Bye.